Hello my friends and welcome back and happy Wednesday to you. It is a happy Wednesday for me, for Estonians and Ukrainians because you have done something incredible. Look at this Rehi Christmas ho 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 campaign, drone campaign that I launched 5 days ago, and you guys, you the viewers, you donated $175,000 in 5 days. This is the absolute record of a campaign. And we are going to buy big Baba Yaga drones as a Christmas present for Ukrainian units, which will deliver big Christmas presents for Russian units. You can see them right on the screens. The bombs or the presents, yeah. This is an insane record and I would have never guessed you are so capable and generous. I will close the campaign tonight. So if you want to donate, the last possibility is in the description below. But the good news don't end there because Poland, yes, the new regional powerhouse in Eastern Europe, has a new prime minister, Donald Tusk. And people say it's, to Donald Trump, Donald Tusk. Well, Donald Tusk is quite the opposite of Donald Trump. He is pro-EU, pro-NATO, pro-Ukraine, very strongly. I'll read you some reports. Poland's parliament designates Donald Tusk as prime minister, ending 8 years of right-leaning rule. And I am not assuming that most of my viewers know exactly who he is or what he stands behind, so I'm going to read a few of his quotes that he said at the night of that he got elected. Poland will regain its position as a leader in the European Union. Poland will build its strength, the position it deserves. Poland is and will be a key, strong, sovereign link in NATO, and Poland will be a loyal, stable ally of the United States. Oh, I'm so glad to hear this. Confident of its strength and importance. And the third quote, we will loudly and decisively demand the full mobilization of the free world, the Western world, to help Ukraine in this war. There is no alternative. Thank you, Polish people, for electing Donald Tusk. Even if you didn't elect directly, still he is the outcome of the Polish people's will. And I do agree with everything he has said in these three quotes. We need to mobilize the Western world. People are sleeping. They don't know what's awaiting for them across the eastern border of Estonia. The Russian Empire wants to gobble up the Baltics, the Finland, Poland, up until Berlin. That would be the wet dream of Putin, and the time to mobilize and to be united against this tyranny is now. It's not tomorrow when the Baltics are taken and the war is raging in Finland. It is now on this second. So Donald Tusk, my man. But now this story gets insane because at the night Donald Tusk was elected, there was a ceremony, and I'll read you the report and you're not ready for it. Check this out. I can't even believe it. Tusk's government later won a vote of confidence in parliament, 248 pro and 201 against, so they won. But the vote was delayed when, and listen to this, a far-right lawmaker, Gregors Braun, grabbed a fire extinguisher and put out candles on a menorah during a Hanukkah celebration. Tusk and others denounced the incident as disgrace. So there is a Hanukkah celebration in Poland. As we know, we go back to the Second World War, where a certain country with a certain leader, which I cannot name on YouTube for such bizarre reasons, did so much harm to Polish people. All of the camps and all of the perished. Poland has a memory, very strong and back-looking memory of the Soviet and the German atrocities. And now there is a far-right politician still blowing out menorah candles with a fire extinguisher. This is of course a metaphor, but it's a symbol, but it's a very dangerous one. Now, why do I keep saying that Poland is now the military powerhouse of Eastern Europe and the future regional powerhouse in the next 10 years? Well, I'll read you a report what Poland is doing right now. Polish Ministry of Defense declared plans for creating additional 2 army divisions. Forming them would result in enlarging Polish army by 40,000 soldiers, almost 500 main battle tanks and 1,000 armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles. Military spending will reach 3% of GDP in 2023. Poland grows into a regional military power. And if Poland truly does all of these changes and keeps enlarging the military GDP, then they do rival very strongly the Russian Western Army Group. Right now, Russian Western units are minced up in Ukraine. They have the lack of officers and lack of training. Poland, on the other hand, a modernized NATO force, is getting more and more powerful. It is not even a matter of deterrence. Poland will be powerful enough to make Russia think twice about attacking any neighboring country to Poland. And I'm so glad and I stand behind this policy. We in Estonia take it very seriously, and out of NATO countries, Estonia has always been in the top 3 of military GDP of countries' GDP. We are a small country, so the percentage does not translate into billions like it would in any big country. Out of our small GDP, we know how much we have to spend on military. We have no illusions, and I'm glad Poland doesn't have any illusions. And all of this ties into what I said in the previous video, that European Union peoples, the peoples of democratic countries, elect their leaders, and the decisions that the leaders make are the outcome of the people's will. So I don't mean to say the leaders need to wake up. I say the people need to wake up because they are the real decision makers, because they elect the leaders. So the Western European people need to wake up, stand united, and as Donald Tusk said, mobilize the entire Western capacity to help Ukraine win this war and then deter Russia. It is not about Ukrainian security. It is about Estonian, Latvian, Lithuanian, Finnish, Polish, Ukrainian security. And that right here is a pretty big percentage of European Union's GDP already. Now, my friends, we will jump to the Finnish border where the shenanigans continues, because as you know, in November 2023, Russia, Vladimir Putin, started using a hybrid weapon, immigration weapon, funneling immigrants on bicycles in snow from Africa to Finland, trying to test out the Finnish border guards' capacity. How fast do they react? How strong do they react? Finland was like, perkele, kurva, satana. Kurva is not Finnish, satana, right? And they closed all the border points. But Finnish being, in nature friendly, now they're beginning to open the border points, and I'll read you the report. The Finnish government decided to open 2 border points in December 14th to January 14th. This period allows Russian citizens and people of Russia origin living in Finland to visit their relatives during the Christmas and New Year holidays according to both the new and the old calendar. So Finland as a country being aggressively attacked by this hybrid weapon of immigration still gives Russian population in Finland a possibility to, according to their old Christmas calendar, visit their relatives. This is very generous of the Finnish government. If the Russian government now organizes new provocations at the Finnish border, they would also clearly indicate that they do not care about their citizens and any humanitarian arguments repeatedly expressed. The Finnish government leaves no doubt that they are ready to close the border points again if necessary. I do respect the Finnish, and I think the Finnish government is doing a lot of things right. We will see how this pans out. Now, if Russia starts again abusing this Finnish generosity and funneling a hybrid weapon of immigration towards Finnish border points, then I would see this as a mistake. Opening the border, I mean. And if you have forgotten what really happened in November in Finland and Russian borders, I'll read you a very short report that summarizes it all. Due to the sharp increase in flow of migrants, the Finnish authorities closed 4 checkpoints on the southern section of the border with Russia on the night of November 18th. The Finnish authorities believed that the situation could not have emerged on its own. In their opinion, Russia helps these migrants to cross the border and thus poses a threat to Finland's national security. In November alone, more than 500 refugees from Iraq, Syria, Somalia arrived in the country through the eastern border. Moscow, in turn, speaks about the rigid violation of tens of thousands of citizens from the 2 countries and calls the statements of Finnish side provocative. I wish strength to the Nordic brothers. Finnish, if you're watching from Finland, Suomi mainitu, torilla tavataan. Now, my friends, we change the emotional pace of the video because Kyiv last night was attacked. I mean, Kyiv is almost attacked every night by Russian Shahed drones, but last night it was attacked by Shaheds, Iskander missiles actually, and S-400 missiles. Now, Shaheds can be shot down, and they were shot down, 10 of them, all 10. Missiles were shot down, 10 missiles. Not all of them were Iskanders, but 10 missiles were shot down. But S-400s can only be shot down by NASAMS and Patriot systems, which are busy sometimes shooting down Shaheds or other missiles, or just too expensive to be used against multiple S-400 missiles, which don't have that big of a warhead. I'll read you the report. A major missile attack against Kyiv tonight caused damage and casualties from debris of intercepted missiles. Reports of S-400 anti-aircraft missiles should be noted. This would indicate a lack of real ballistic missiles. Over 50 people were injured, indicating that people were not in shelters during the air raid. Now, a lot of people have commented on my videos that, oh, what do you mean S-300, S-400? They're anti-air missile systems. Yes, they are. Since Russia is lacking Shaheds and cruise missiles, they are using for the whole duration of this war S-300s as missiles to attack ground targets. And since S-300s can be shot 150 kilometers away and they're not accurate, they're more like an area weapon, and they don't have a big warhead since they are meant to take out planes, they're not posing almost any threat to military facilities of Ukraine, but they pose a huge threat for civilians, because if you shoot them in Kyiv or Kharkiv, they will hit something because it's a big metropole and somebody will get hurt. So that's what the Russians are doing. And since they can only be shot down by Patriots and NASAMS, most of them do connect to some target. Most of them hit a field or a tree, but some of them connect to schools and hospitals, making a lot of damage. Now, S-400 is even more of a terrifying weapon. Their range is bigger, their warhead is bigger, they are faster, and they can also only be shot down by Patriots and NASAMS. I will read you a report that opens up this area target thing of S-300s more precisely. The S-300 missiles being used are just pretty much a garden variety ballistic missiles in the ground attack mode. They are wildly inaccurate and not suitable for military targets. They're mostly used against residential areas and other area targets. But they have small warheads that are heavily dependent on fragmentation girdles. It appears that most of the explosive damage from the S-300 missiles comes from unburned fuel exploding. The S-300 missiles are likely being used this way because they have underperformed in their original role so badly. Russia has a pretty relatively big stockpile of S-300 missiles, and since Ukraine doesn't really have an air force and you cannot use S-300 to shoot down small DJI drones, what else they're gonna do with them? They're gonna force them on ground targets. Now, just to give you an idea, we have not talked about Belarus much because it's a true puppet of Russia, but to give you an idea how much they are connected, and in this war they are the aggressor state next to Russia, much like Russia. This is the range of S-400 missiles that attacked Kyiv last night, 250 kilometers. We see Ukrainian border begins here and here, so it could only be fired from this radius you see right here. Most of it is Belarusian soil and a little part of it is Russian soil. But we have had instances before where missiles, planes, everything is shot from Belarusian soil, making Belarus as much responsible for the aggression against Ukraine as Russia. There is no difference. My friends, a full-blown cyber war has blasted into active phase again in between Russia and Ukraine. And I'll read you some reports. It's back and forth. Russian hackers are attacking Ukrainian government cyber infrastructure, and the same is done by SBU to Russia. Both have victories, both have losses. Let's see who has the points. Ukraine Security Service, SBU, is investigating a cyber attack against the mobile operator Kyivstar, suspected to be carried out by Russian special services. This is the first major successful cyber attack that has caused mass disruption in public services. The extent of the disruptions remains somewhat unclear, but it seems that major problems were resolved within a day. Kyivstar before Russia's invasion belonged to Russian owners, which certainly facilitated the attack significantly. So this was Russia putting a jab. Let's see how SBU responded. And they did respond. It's a good left hook, you know. In a counter move, Ukraine's military intelligence cyber unit, I'll say that again, it's juicy. Ukraine's military intelligence cyber unit successfully attacked the Russian tax service. Ukraine claims to have destroyed the central database of the Russian tax system. According to Ukraine, the databases of the Russian tax service have not been able to start for 4 days. And as you know, two things are certain: death and taxes. The IRS in USA is infamous for being one of the most powerful entities in the world. Any country is only as rich as they are able to pull in taxes from the citizens. Same goes to Russia. So if the Russian tax system is down, this very directly affects the war effort, because most of the funds Russia gathers are funneled towards war in one or another way. And 4 days this system is down. Ukraine claims to have damaged one central server and over 2,300 regional servers. Ukrainian sources claim that it will take at least a month for Russia to restore the electronic tax service systems. And it is not entirely possible to recover the lost data. If the Ukrainian claims are true and the tax system does not restart quickly, Russia faces major problems with its daily operations more broadly. Now, I'll leave it up to you to decide which reports are more accurate, what really happened. We know that Russian tax system is down right now. We don't know the extent of the damage. Now, my friends, I want to talk about Ukrainian Orthodoxy and Russian Orthodoxy, churches a little bit, and Christianity in Ukraine, because there is a lot of Russian propaganda and informational operations about this. And I'm here to speak the truth to you, because I have visited Kyiv's biggest monastery, the Lavr complex, many times. I've seen a lot of the churches in Kyiv, spoke to a lot of the local people who go to these churches, and now it's clear what's going on. Ukraine is predominantly Christian Orthodox country. Allegations against Ukraine that it has banned Orthodox Church are not true. The first church mentioned today is the Church of the Three Saints, built by the merchant George Goldberg in 1905. It is the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchy. Split in these churches now, there is Ukrainian Orthodoxy and Moscow Patriarchy. Moscow Patriarchy and Kirill, which is the Patriarch of the Moscow Orthodoxy, is only the lengthening of the power structure of the FSB. Ukraine, Zelensky ordered the arrest of Russian priests who are under Moscow Patriarchy, who have been suspected of espionage for FSB, and a lot of photos are out there of these priests having handguns, drugs, money, several different passports, photographs of Ukrainian politicians they have been spying on, the propaganda that they're feeding the Ukrainian people in the churches, the Russian propaganda. So Russian Patriarchy, Russian Orthodoxy is nothing more than a political lengthening of power of the FSB. It is a huge spy structure. Now, Zelensky didn't outright ban the Moscow Patriarchy, but he is arresting Russian spies. That's how simple it is. And a lot of the spies happen to be priests of the Moscow Patriarchy. Now, Ukrainian Orthodox Church is lively and strong in Ukraine. The Lavr complex is beautiful, amazing, and it's heavenly, actually. It was taken over by Ukrainians from the Moscow Patriarchy after the full-scale invasion began, and I'm glad they did. Now, I'll say this again. Ukraine is a very Christian country. They have a very Christian upbringing, but they split away from the Moscow FSB Russian Orthodoxy. Now they have their own Ukrainian Orthodoxy, which roots go back to Constantinople, the old original, the OG Greek Orthodoxy. What Zelensky did is just weed out the spies from the church. And now, my friends, we have been waiting for this for a long time. The new United States, the Department of Defense aid packet has been confirmed, 200 million USDs. And I'll say this again, and Anthony Blinken also stressed this a few days ago. And I was actually talking to the ambassador of the ambassador of the United States to Estonia, George Kent, about this yesterday. Before I go, actually, here's the video. George Kent for you. Hello, my friends, and we are at the residence of the United States ambassador to Estonia, George Kent. And thank you for inviting me, George. And what is this here?
This is a present from a friend who just visited this week, and it's from the Commander-in-Chief of Ukraine, the General Valery Zaluzhny, and he says what we need now is victory.
Thank you. Would you have a Christmas hello to my audiences on YouTube?
Well, to the ones that speak English, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and for the Estonians, Hayet Pui.
90% of the funds allocated by United States to Ukraine are used in United States. That's specifically the military spending. USA also does send full pure money to Ukrainian budget, but we're talking about the military spending in these aid packets. 90% of this is used in the US, being put back into US economy, and the end product, the weapon itself, is being exported to Ukraine. The jobs and the wages generated by these 200 million are in the US. Now I'll read you the report of the United States National Security Council Speaker Adrienne Watson, and this is official US public information. I quote, Russia lost 13,000 people during the 2 months of its offensive near Avdiivka, as well as over 220 pieces of equipment. This is United States intelligence report, inside information that has been confirmed to release to public. If some people say these numbers are bloated, that because the Ukraine released them first, well, now we have the US confirmation. And now, my friends, a meeting from Zelensky and Biden in Washington yesterday, actually. And I want us all to listen to together what Zelensky is saying to Biden.
You're going to help the cause, and I don't want you giving up hope.
I'm really glad to be here at the White House today and share some very important messages. Thank you for the invitation, and I'd like to thank America and our partners for the support. And today, the special day, really special day for Ukrainian people. It's a day of our land forces, almost 600,000 incredibly brave Ukrainians.
Almost 600,000 Ukrainians are fighting in the Ukrainian army right now.
My sons and daughters are on the battlefield, and they were powerful. This is their day, and really, they prove every day that Ukraine can win. And our forces are advancing, and we have successfully defeated Russia in the Black Sea, and Russia is hiding the remnants of its naval fleet in remote base. And meanwhile, Ukraine has set up an export corridor in the Black Sea that's really boosting our economy and global food security.
And now, my friends, my favorite part of the video, which I do in every video for the last, 5 years, I think, the butchering of the patron names. The people who give me the security net to focus all my remaining energy into aiding Ukraine. You guys make it possible for me. Tim Skuch, Steve Gais, Jensen, Christian Mortensen, and I remember saying your names for a few times now. Thank you for coming back. Dennis Hortopagi. Wow, strange names. Thank you, my friends, for supporting. If you like my channel, you know what to do. Until my next video, my friends, which will be tomorrow, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.